Catalonia is an awesome place to visit, but there's a huge mistake nearly everybody visiting makes.
This part of northeastern Spain is home to a long Mediterranean coast and the Pyrenees Mountains. Plus you'll find culture to the extent that it's hard to even know where to start. And so many remarkable people left their mark here. There's the architectural legacy of Gaudi, and the world-renowned artist Salvador Dali is even from here. Now anybody visiting Catalonia can experience all of these things. But the thing is, most people don't for one simple reason. They never leave Barcelona. Now Barcelona is one of the fine cities of the world, and you definitely wouldn't want to miss it. But just take last year alone. More than 12 million people visited Barcelona, and only a small minority of these visitors left Barcelona during their trip to see other parts of Catalonia. So today, I'm going to find out exactly what everybody is missing out on. I'm headed to Barcelona only to get out of the city as fast as humanly possible for a little Catalonia road trip. And one of the most obvious places to visit outside of Barcelona is the 1,000-year-old monastery of Montserrat. So I'll be starting my trip there and then heading further north to visit the city of Figueres and its Dali Theatre Museum. And then I'll be continuing my drive out to the coast where Salvador Dali's old house can still be visited and olive trees outnumber people. But my drive from the airport in Barcelona over to Montserrat was also pretty scenic. And my visit to Montserrat itself was nothing short of amazing.
Montserrat is a place that you should visit, but you already knew that. And the real question that you should be asking is, how should you visit it? Should you take a guided tour? Should you just take the train and stay here for a few hours?
Or should you spend the night like I am? Staying the night in Montserrat really wasn't very expensive at all. While by no means luxurious, the Albergue Obat Oliba was a comfortable place to stay, and the views were just astounding.
This place costs about 70 euros a night, which I think is a really good deal, especially since it includes breakfast, and it gives you free access to some of the things you'd have to pay for otherwise.
And despite the awe-inspiring surroundings, it's much cheaper than you'd usually have to pay to stay somewhere in Barcelona. And this place is so significant that it even has a font named after it. Well, at least indirectly. Montserrat, the font, is technically named after a neighborhood in Argentina's capital city of Buenos Aires. But that neighborhood was named after the Montserrat we're talking about, so it counts. And while Montserrat is home to a working monastery, there's so much more to see and do there. There are a few different restaurants in Montserrat, but they are a bit on the pricey side. So instead of eating out, I just made a stop at the grocery store before driving up the mountain and brought my dinner with me as well as a few tasty Spanish snacks.
This is why you need to stay the night at Montserrat.
I was able to visit the monastery grounds and see all the candles lit up. Plus I got free entrance to the boys' choir singing in the basilica by showing my hotel reservation. The buildings proved to be just as pretty on the inside as they are on the outside.
This place is so quiet that you can and will hear any pin drop. And walking around at night when there's almost nobody around is a mythical experience. Now we will take a look at what it looks like tomorrow when the tourist groups come and the day trippers visit, but I'm really starting to think that spending the night here is the way to go. But still, we've got to see what it looks like in the day, so stay tuned and tomorrow we'll check it all out.
I woke up pretty early to catch the morning light. But soon it was time for breakfast, so I headed to the cafe downstairs and redeemed my breakfast voucher. Breakfast was decent and I headed out for the day.
So, Montserrat in the day. It's definitely a little bit busier than at night, but to be honest, it's not that crazy. There are your tour groups that you have at all kinds of tourist destinations. But other than that, there just seem to be a few day trippers around, and yeah, it's still pretty quiet. So if you want to do some hiking here, you basically got three options. You could do a circle route, or you could take the funicular up and then walk down, or you could walk up and then take the funicular down. I'm going to take the funicular up and then walk down. This is what the funicular looks like. It is a little bit expensive, so one way is probably better than both.
There's another funicular line called El Funicular de la Santa Cova, and that one takes you up the mountain to where this one starts. But since I drove up the mountain and parked overnight, I only needed the line from the monastery to the top of the mountain. And this line is called El Funicular de San Joan.
Honestly, at 1070 euros. It'd be hard to be convinced that this is actually worth paying that, but I paid it anyway, so let's see what it's like. Yeah, so this is a pretty cool experience, even if it's a bit overpriced.
It's only about a 7-minute ride up, but I did find the views pretty impressive. The funicular did get very full though, so while my camera was able to show you this, I did often get stuck looking at this. But what can I say, it saved me from a 2-hour uphill hike.
So according to the person working at the Tourist Information Center, if you walk at a kind of slower / general pace, it's about an hour and a half to walk down from where the funicular takes you up to. And then it would take about 2 hours to walk up to the funicular and then take the funicular down. But usually in Spain, the time estimations I've been given are a little bit longer than it actually takes, so I'm interested to see if this really does take me an hour and a half walking down.
But first, there is a lot to see up here, and I'm not quite to my highest point of the day yet.
Hiking around Montserrat is pretty much the same as hiking anywhere else in Spain, meaning that it's pretty straightforward. The paths are well marked, it's fun overall, and the weather's usually pretty good, even in winter. I mean, look, today the sky's blue. So I basically would recommend that you stay overnight, or if for whatever reason you really just can't stay overnight, at least plan a whole day here. The train does run directly from Barcelona, and there are other options like the bus that go here. But if you're not just one person traveling alone, it's probably going to be cheaper to rent a car, especially if you book ahead and get a decent deal. But if you just stay in and around the monastery, you'll miss all these crazy views. And views like this, you know?
And it's really nothing against the guided tours available here at Montserrat.
But the amount of time the tours give you just is very little. I mean, I've been here for nearly 24 hours and I haven't seen all that there is to offer.
But I think it's time to get a little higher and check out one of the peaks here.
It's quite windy up here.
This is the Sant Jeroni viewpoint. And well, you've just got to go there and see it for yourself. After that, I don't even want to leave at all, but I've got to start heading down.
But where are all the other tourists, right? I'm not hiding them. There's really just not that many people here because I'm here visiting in the winter. And even though Barcelona is still usually pretty packed on every winter day, Montserrat is not as popular of a destination in the winter, and therefore a day trip or a tour might still be a good idea. But there's nothing really comparable to the night I spent last night in Montserrat, so I think the best option is to spend the night here and then also spend the day here too. But I'm gonna finish my hike down, and it does seem like it's gonna take a lot less than an hour and 30 minutes. But real quick, let's talk about this thing. I've heard that some people come over here just to see the so-called Stairway to Heaven. It's a pretty unimpressive stack of concrete. Okay, fine. If it were like somewhere else where the surroundings weren't this beautiful, then it might be kind of impressive. But honestly, it looks like some kind of Soviet mistake or something. If you came here just to see this thing, well, then that's kind of like going to a Broadway play and then stopping to look at a Broadway sign for like 30 minutes for no reason. If you look around on the internet, you'll see photos of people standing on top of this, and that's kind of stupid because it's really big and you could fall off the side of the hill. So they closed it off, as you can see.
But the rest of Montserrat is so breathtaking you might not even find time for the Stairway to Heaven anyway. But now my time visiting Montserrat is over, and I'm heading north to see what else there is in Catalonia. I snagged a solid deal at the Doubletree by Hilton in Girona, so I'll be spending the night there. And it's just a little over an hour's drive from Montserrat. But I won't really have time to check out Girona on this trip, though there's definitely some stuff to see there too. My next day will basically be centered around visiting the massive Dali Theatre Museum and Dali's house, both of which are best visited with a timed reservation. And the drive between the two is over an hour, so to comfortably see both in one day, I have to visit one in the morning and then one in the late afternoon. But the hotel in Girona was pretty okay.
Doubletree colored chair. Let's see what the view looks like. Oh, looks like there's a balcony there. Let's check that out. Well, this is definitely not the best Doubletree, and even more so not the best Hilton I've stayed in. Can already see that, but of course the free breakfast is always a nice touch. But one big negative is that they don't offer any free parking for Diamond members, which isn't unheard of. And the street parking here is a bit of a hassle. It's free from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. in Girona, but after 8 a.m. you have to pay, so I'll have to get up kind of early, I think a little bit earlier than I planned, and then go out and pay for a few hours of parking, or move the car to somewhere that's free, like maybe in the Mercadona parking lot that's free for 2 or 3 hours if you shop there.
Still, I'd probably just pick a budget hotel if I did the trip again. But after breakfast, it was time to head over to the city of Figueres, just a little over a half hour north. The highways in Catalonia are great, by the way, and driving is really comfortable. Plus the scenery is consistently beautiful. Still, most of my trip would be very feasible with the train, save my trip to the Dali House. But since I was able to find a decent enough car rental price, the costs turned out to be pretty similar. And the car did give me a little more flexibility for my pretty tight travel schedule. And when I got into Figueres, finding parking did take a little while. But free parking was much easier to track down here than in Girona.
I'm over here in the northern part of Catalonia today, in Figueres, and I'm going to go check out the Dali Theatre Museum, also known as the world's biggest surreal building.
And of all the notable people and things to come from Catalonia, Salvador Dali might just be the most special of them all. And this is the best place in the world to get close to Dali's legacy. I've seen Dali paintings around the world, and have visited other museums focused solely on Dali's art. But where I'm headed today doesn't just feature Dali's art. The Dali Theatre Museum and Dali's house embody Dali's art in every sense of the word. Dali spent a significant amount of time living in both of these places. And he's even buried in a crypt below the theater museum. I mean, name another artist that is buried below their own museum. So for me, not venturing out of Barcelona to this northern corner of Catalonia would not just be a mistake, but a mission left unfulfilled. But even if you're not that into Dali, you still could come and enjoy visiting this place. It's just that interesting and unique.
Wow. Museum's one of the best in the world, but you can also get Coca-Cola here.
And now that I've got a little bit of a feel for Figueres, I'm heading off to the coast to visit Dali's one-of-a-kind house in Portlligat with just a few stops along the way. An almond pastry and some coffee seems to always be a good idea in Catalonia. And the drive to Portlligat requires going through a nice mountain road. The views are impressive, even on cloudy days like this one. And the town of Figueres is just a 5-minute drive from Portlligat. But I opted to go straight to Portlligat. This tiny town itself is down a hill with a very small road, so I parked in the lot next to this little chapel and walked down. With a little time to spare before my timed entry, I walked along the pebble beach. Portlligat would be an interesting place to visit even without the Dali house there, but of course that's the main attraction.
Salvador Dali's house. I've been wanting to come here since I was a kid. Now I'm here, so let's go check it out. Apparently Dali had first wanted this apartment to only be 4 square meters, but as you can see behind me, it got a lot bigger and he kind of changed his mind.
Right upon entering, you're greeted by a giant stuffed polar bear that was gifted to Dali by the poet Edward James.
Polar bear, really?
Each room is pretty memorable and everything seems somehow connected to Dali's surrealist mission. Dali said that every morning him and his wife Gala were the first Spaniards to see the sunrise. And this was really true due to the house's geographic position, that made it the inhabited place located farthest to the east in Spain. And just to take full advantage of it, Dali had a special mirror system built to reflect the morning sun directly to his bed.
I want a house like this.
And of course the outdoor areas were also unreal. Wait, surreal.
If you're looking for a house with charm, this is the one.
Dali and Gala spent much of their lives living and working in this house. But upon Gala's death in 1982, Salvador Dali left Portlligat for good. Both the Dali Theatre Museum and the Dali House are open to the public these days, and I bet you'd enjoy visiting them too.
But my day full of Dali has come to an end, so I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Calling Salvador Dali.